It was a rainy Sunday morning in a small town nestled between quiet hills and old maple trees. Inside a modest little house on Willow Street, 9-year-old Emily sat cross-legged on the kitchen floor, surrounded by bits of glue, paper towels, and ceramic shards. The mug had shattered just an hour ago. It wasn't just any mug. It was her mom's favorite, a white ceramic cup with a hand-painted sunflower on one side and a tiny crack that had been there since Emily was a baby. Her mom, Clara, always said it was her lucky cup. Every morning, before school, Clara would sip her coffee from it, humming an old tune that Emily had grown to love. But this morning was different. Clara had been quiet for weeks. Since Emily's dad had left, laughter had disappeared from the house. Dinners were silent. The hums were gone. Clara was trying, really trying, but her eyes always looked tired. The sunflower mug was one of the few things she still reached for each day. And now it was broken. Emily hadn't meant to knock it over. She was trying to pour juice for breakfast, trying to help, like grown-ups always said was important, but her elbow bumped it and it fell to the ground, shattering like the silence they'd all been living in. Her first instinct was to cry, but something told her not to. Not this time. Instead, she grabbed the pieces and ran to the garage. Somewhere in the cluttered drawer of tools and nails, she found glue. Thick, messy, smelly glue. It didn't matter. She had a mission now. As the rain tapped gently on the windows, Emily patiently fit the broken pieces back together, one by one. It took time. The glue got on her fingers. Some of the pieces didn't fit perfectly. But she kept going. She didn't try to hide the cracks. In fact, she remembered something her teacher once said. Sometimes, the cracks show where the light gets in. She liked that. When the last piece was in place, the mug looked different. Not perfect, but whole. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. She placed the mug on the kitchen counter with a note that read, "I broke it. I'm sorry. But I fixed it. I hope it still makes you smile." Then she went to her room, heart pounding. Clara didn't see the mug until after lunch. She'd been cleaning quietly, lost in thought, when the glint of gold in the glue caught her eye. At first, her breath caught. She almost called out in frustration. But then she saw the note. Her hands trembled as she picked up the mug. The cracks were visible, glowing faintly in the afternoon light. She read the note twice, then a third time, and then something inside her broke too. But this time, it wasn't painful. It was release. Tears welled in her eyes, not from sadness, but from something deeper. Healing. For the first time in weeks, Clara felt like she could breathe. She walked slowly to Emily's room and opened the door. Emily looked up, afraid she was in trouble. But Clara didn't say anything. She simply knelt down, opened her arms, and held her daughter tightly. They stayed like that for a long time. No words, just love. From that day on, the mug became more than a cup. It was a symbol. It sat on the shelf, cracks and all, a reminder that broken things can be made whole again, not by pretending they were never damaged, but by loving them enough to care. Emily learned that day that healing doesn't always come from big gestures. Sometimes, it's a quiet act of repair, a small effort, a bit of glue, a note. And Clara? She started humming again. Not because life was perfect, but because it was still theirs. Cracked, imperfect, but beautiful. Sometimes, the smallest gestures carry the greatest love. So if someone in your life is hurting, or if you are, don't wait for the perfect moment. Start with something small. A word, a hug, a cup of coffee. You never know how far one act of love can go. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to Wisdom Tales for more stories that light your soul. Tell us in the comments, what's something small that once meant the world to you? We read every message.